Hi, welcome to another episode of Spin Weekly. My name is Grace Shalom Hopkins, and today is day 2 of our Hanukkah spin along, and we are going to talk about the prep, before wash, and the wash and dry aspect of this spin project. So before I jump into the voiceover and you can see the actual demo footage, I wanted to let you know kind of what I was doing and what my thought was. So I watch a lot of other people who are really like spin to knit technical peeps, and they feel really strongly that you have to sort the fleece into lock structures. And so at this point in the spin, my goal was to spin from the lock because I assumed I'm going to have to spin to knit and I need lace weight, right? This was a few weeks ago. I've learned a lot since then. And because current me is still kind of at the middle of the project. You can tell from my wardrobe change, right? So I assumed I was gonna need to do something like a crazy lace weight 3-play or something like that, which was wrong. And that might have actually been easier for me at this point. Because now I'm trying to do like a worsted DK weight sort of situation. And as I mentioned in the yesterday's video, that's coming with new challenges involving grist and other things. We haven't sorted those out yet. But, so that was my thought there, is spin from the lock and then you could just wash the lock and it would be fine, right? Well, I didn't end up spinning from the lock. However, I thought it was super helpful that I did this and separated by the lock, because all the other previous fleeces I've washed, I'm getting excited, so I'm talking fast. I apologize. All the other previous fleeces I've washed, I just throw it in kit and capoodle, and it doesn't really matter because I'm spinning for more of a textural situation. So, takeaway already, spin from, or not spin from the lock, you could do that too, but lay it out by lock. That's super helpful. And then you have the opportunity to pick the little short bits out, so that's also really handy. I am using the Beyond Clean by Unicorn. You can also use Power Scour. They are very similar. One is scented and one is not. They are a super incredible, literally the best soap that I've ever used. It's a detergent, but the best cleaning liquid ever. So I've left links to them down below as well. And yeah, I think that's all you need to know. Let us jump into the demo footage goodness. All right, here we are. We are sorting the fleece. You can see that it is pretty darn clean for any fleece that I've ever messed with. It's super springy. It's got those beautiful gradient tips. I was hoping for some more gray in the finished product, but it ended up all washing out. So most of this was just like sweat and gunk from the sheep. So that was a little sad, but it's still the most beautiful fleece ever. You can see the staple length and kind of how I'm just pulling it lock by lock. I found it was easiest to do this from the tips, and then the bits that were weird, I just pulled off the bottom. Because at this point in the spin, I was expecting to spin from the lock because I thought knitting a sweater, you're gonna have to do something crazy, lace weighty, you know, whatever. Hiccup. So that was misguided. I ended up not spinning from the lock, but still I found that this was a helpful way to prep the fleece, and it's really fun to watch. Okay, so I also did this by just skirting the fleece and then throwing it in the sink. I don't have footage of that, but that's another way that I did it. So here you're seeing I kind of loosely bundled the locks and put them in. I used some Power Scour in a slightly above room temperature water sink. Don't run the water over the fleece. That is no buenos. Also, don't swish the fleece around. There are 3 things that fleece needs to felt. That is dramatic temperature change, sliminess from soap, and agitation. So if you make those 3 things happen, especially for a fine fleece like Merino, you will get fleecy, felty badness. Unless that's what you're looking for, and then, you know, do those things. So right away you can see kind of a yellowy weirdness. And I first started with a colander, and because I wanted to keep the lock structure together. And I think that's fine, but I ended up taking it out of the colander, and at this point I noticed that it started to think about felting. So be careful if you dump it into the water. Any kind of movement from situation A to situation B is a agitation situation. So now I'm putting them loose in the colander, and I felt like there was actually less agitation and felting when I did it this way. When they were loosely tied together, the fiber wanted to float out, and I just saw a shortcut there. Did you see that? It wanted to float out, and then it didn't stay together, and that caused problems. And then once I went through and just dumped the fleece in the sink, I also found that it worked basically the same without the colander. So that was my experience with trying to make a very lock-friendly fleece washing experience. Usually I'm looking for texture, so I'm not as concerned about the locks themselves getting a little misaligned. But when I didn't think that any of the fancy techniques that people talk about really made much of a difference. Once you throw it through the drum carder or the hand cards or the combs or whatever, I couldn't tell the difference, really. The only thing that was helpful to know was the tip versus the butt, and I think that anybody who can know what a tip and a butt is will know the difference. Like, no sexual innuendo, but there's a big difference. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. So you ought to be able to tell, right? You know? So my experience was use the Unicorn Power Scour, warm water both times. I did 2 washes, left them sit until the water was kind of coldy, probably about an hour. My downstairs kitchen is really hot, so it took a long time. And then I did a couple of rinses, and it still had just enough lanolin to give really beautiful hand and body to the fiber, but not enough to be gross. The dirt was removed, it smelled great, it wasn't grimy, there was some vegetable matter, but nothing crazy. Yeah, my biggest tip here is, I see that's a zombie dice in that sink. I see that my human has done that. So my biggest tip is just to follow the rules of no temperature change, no agitation when there's soap, so that way you don't felt it. And then skirt the fleece. Oh my gosh, I ended up getting 1 vegetable matter lock or 2 in my drum carder, and it caused all kinds of problems. So skirt it before you mess it up. That's my advice. Otherwise, this went really smoothly, and yeah, you can see how bright and beautiful it is, and so cushy. It's still a little damp in this shot, but it's really nice. See the lock structure? Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that and found that insightful. And if you liked it, hit the like button. If you don't want to miss out on any of the further Hanukkah joy or any other kind of shenanigans that we have here on this channel, hit the subscribe button. And a special shout out to our Spin Weekly Patreon family. You guys make all of this possible, and they've been seeing hints and pieces of this spin all the way since like October. So if you want to jump in on that bandwagon, you can also do so down below, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!